What's going on, y'all? This is Bud Elliott, and we are live here on the Nolecast channel. Um, we're a little late tonight, and I'm solo for now. Ingram's got a little internet issues, so like whenever he gets that fixed, I guess he'll jump on. But we didn't want to keep y'all waiting. Sometimes we set the timestamp to try to screw with y'all until you get here early, but this is not one of those times. Like we actually did want to go to bed after we did the episode, so. Anyway, y'all roll in, get in here, check in live, and we will have some fun tonight. So I feel like I can talk recruiting myself. I really want somebody else to talk about the spring game with. So until Graham gets his actual internet working, I'll just talk recruiting, and then I don't know, maybe he can come in midway through the recruiting. Maybe he comes in midway through the actual team discussion. Who knows? So. Anyway, shout out, of course, to our sponsors, Tarpon Cellars Winery. Tremendous. I was wearing a Tarpon Cellars hat today, and I got complimented. I was walking my boys around the neighborhood. It was awesome. Appreciate all of y'all. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button there if you are watching us live. Notification gang, as always. We don't really tweet these out. Maybe we should. Maybe that's bad marketing. Maybe that's actually like really smart guerrilla viral marketing. You know, just you got to subscribe if you want to know when we go live because you get that notification on your phone. It looks like the chat is popping. Gabriel in the chat says Chris Nee, Crystal Bald, Lester. Look at that, Chris Nee, man, big time. One of the OGs in the recruiting business, dude. Absolutely kills it over there at Knowles 247. All right, so I don't know how long it's going to take. Florida State, they landed the number one tight end in the country tonight. I recall doing a podcast about 11 years ago when I said the exact same sentence. That guy's name out of Palm Beach Dwyer was Nick O'Leary. And yes, we have been podcasting for that long. That guy turned out to be pretty okay. There are not a lot of guys who get 5 stars at the tight end position who don't work out just due to physicality or evaluation reasons. You know, Michael Mayer, probably hear his name called pretty early in the draft, either on first round or early second round. Tight end is not a premium position, so you don't see a lot of those guys get 5 stars. So you know that the guy has to be seen as a pretty impressive player to get 5 stars. And Florida State got this guy, Landon Thomas. One time was an FSU dude, flipped to Georgia. Completely understandable, by the way, given the fact that Georgia's about to pump out multiple first-rounders at the tight end position. He's from Moultrie, Colquitt County, and is a pretty special player, but FSU kept working on him. Obviously, the top 2 commits in their class before tonight were also from Georgia, and Luke Cromenhoek and Cam Davis. I think they leaned on him as well. Chris Thompson, everybody in the back office staff working to get Landon Thomas and just kind of keep chopping wood, right? Keep sawing that thing and get him on campus more and more. I think they've impressed upon him a couple things. Like, A, playing time and the ability to make an impact early is absolutely there, right? Think about what this room will look like in 2024 for Landon Thomas, a guy who comes in, and I'll get to his skill set in a second. I think his rating is justified. I think he's a very special prospect, right? Probably get Kyle Morlock because I don't think he's going to be at a point where he goes pro. You'll have Biscuit, who I would project at that point, both those guys are more inline type tight ends. But if you're Landon Thomas, I mean, you're dominating at the high school level. You're a pretty special athlete. You're walking in and saying, Jackson West, Brian Courtney, Jarrell Powers, no disrespect to those guys. I ain't scared of that. All right? I'm getting on that field day one and making an impact day one. That's, if I'm Landon Thomas, that's my thought, right? And my skill set is different enough than the real veterans in that room in Morlock and Biscuit that I'll be able to really complement them early and be a featured piece of the offense fairly early in my career. And Florida State's been telling me how much they need impact tight ends. So, it's no secret they've not recruited this position particularly well at the high school level, but they have done a nice job supplementing with the transfer portal in recent years. So I think the staff deserves a lot of credit in that. And now it is nice to see them doing a better job at the high school level. What do I like about this guy? I have seen him in person a couple times, which helps. So I always like talking about guys I've seen in person. I got a couple guys tonight I'll talk about, unless Ingram jumps on earlier, and then we'll just go right to the spring game talk. But my major thing with tight ends is short area quickness, okay? It's great to see tight ends running 40 yards down the field, but I mean, how many times are you really doing that, okay? What makes Travis Kelce great is he gets open consistently in that 8-yard, 10-yard, 6-yard, 12-yard range and constantly gives Travis Kelce an outlet. He is just an absolute killer on those option routes. He has good short area quickness. I don't really care about your long speed at tight end. Now, we're probably not going to put 5 stars on you if you're slow as hell with long speed, but it's the short area quickness to me that matters for a tight end, because that's how you get open underneath when you really don't have time to stride it out. And if you watch, dude, Landon Thomas can do this, okay? He has big time short area quickness, and I understand how to use his body, understands positioning. I feel like he's a very smart football player. When you watch him, that's big. Like, that's, I think, the most important attribute for a tight end, honestly. So that's pretty huge. Physicality, I like it. When Colquitt goes to the goal line, they throw him in the Wildcat package. I think he's a willing blocker. There's a couple clips of him blocking in 2021 that I thought were pretty good. Didn't really put a whole lot of blocking on his 2022 huddle, but I thought in 21 he actually showed that he can line up as an inline guy as well. 6'4", 225, 230, whatever. I don't know what he weighs currently, but somewhere in that range. I mean, maybe he plays at 245, 250, right? Probably not a 270 type of frame, but yeah, man, I think this is a major pickup for the Noles and something that they're going to be really excited about, and not one that I think Georgia wanted to lose. Georgia fans are saying, hey, we're going to go pick up Odom or this other kid, and they very well may. And if you're a Georgia fan and you're watching this, welcome. Please also like and subscribe to the channel. But it is very fortunate for you that the state of Georgia this year is tremendously loaded at the tight end position. But this is not one that I think they wanted to, wanted to lose. Wait, is the audio is behind the video, or is that just for one guy in the chat? I'm not sure. Anyway, so yeah, early impact guy, special athlete, short area quickness, toughness, good hands, feel for the game, does have the long speed too. Best tight end you signed, or well, not signed yet, but best tight end you've had a verbal commit from since Nick O'Leary. So pretty solid guy, right? That's kind of what you want there, and somebody who I would project to play early, even though tight end's a spot where it's kind of tough to play early. I just think with this roster, there's just different levels of talent, and I think he'll be instantly one of the better talents you have on the roster. Okay, next, Luke Krummenhoek, who got his Elite 11 invite. That's your quarterback. That is the guy that on this show we told you not to sweat Chris Parson when he was wavering last June-ish. I think June, that's probably when they had the elite camp, because Krummenhoek threw side by side with him and was clearly superior. If you guys recall that. If not, you can pull up the episode. Continues to look really good as a prospect. And he took a visit to Penn State. I know his mom has some Penn State connections. Well, he got down to the spring game and he sort of reaffirmed his commitment, said he's shutting it down. And I know for a fact he's actively recruiting like a lot of other guys. Saw him outside the spring game. Dude is pulling up the 24/7, the top 247, and just going down and seeing the dudes in the region and, getting after it in the recruiting game. Also, Cam Davis, same thing. Big time running back for you. Somebody who I know Georgia had been interested in, and he shuts it down. Nice little clapbacks from Cam's mom and Luke's dad at some Georgia fans who were coming at them on Twitter. So well done there. Always got to build that social media presence, right? Look, that's big. Okay. You guys know that I am not really into the idea of FSU heavily recruiting traditional SEC territory. I think their efforts in Mississippi, for the most part, are not fruitful. And I think if you go into most of the state of Alabama, you're going to come back empty-handed. See also Keldrick Falk last year, where you did a tremendous job recruiting that kid. Poochis did really all he could do. Lined up everything for that dude that he could want. And then all it takes is Auburn have a competent coach for 10 days. And he's like, yeah, peace. I always wanted to go to Auburn anyway. Right. But South Georgia is traditionally a Nola territory. You can go back to, late 80s, early 90s, Thomas County Central, where they're pulling dudes out of there. Really a spot that has been good to FSU and a spot where they pick their battles. And look, recruiting South Georgia, I think makes a lot of sense. Right. State of Florida, because the name Florida actually matters, and South Georgia means something for sure. So cool. Let me see here. This guy's asking about my disdain for Notre Dame. Is it because FSU can't recruit in their name's level even with NIL? No. On cover 3, I asked, why does Notre Dame hate its players so much that it won't actually compete in the NIL game when they have so much money? I just thought that was kind of sad when clearly you have other programs that like their players a lot better, and it's sort of like, we want to be a national program, but every time we miss out on a really elite kid, we blame NIL. When Notre Dame has more money than anybody, they just don't want to give it to the players. So yeah, I think some Notre Dame fans were mad that I asked why they hate their players and don't want to give it to them. All right. Let me see here. I've not seen BJ Gibson play in person. 3-star commit, high 3-star. Some places have him as a 4 receiver commit. Will be a baseball kid as well. I haven't seen him play in person, so I'm not going to comment on him. I actually want to kind of see him in person, which I will in about a month. But I will comment on the Wayne McCoy, a kid out of Miami Central. Nice two-way player, 4-star in the top 200 nationally. A kid that I think a lot of folks thought, I think a lot of people thought Miami was going to get him, and that actually not what happened. So I know FSU is really excited to get him. What do I like about LaWayne? I've seen him actually quite a bit. So this is a good get, somebody who I think has some staying power in the rankings. A guy, he's over 6 foot tall, very quick, smooth in and out of his transitions. He has good ball skills. I feel like he makes some kind of highlight catch every time he's at one of these overtime elite things. That the kids have reposted a couple of his highlights online all over the place. A nice feel for the game. And just, this is a good commit. Top end, I don't know what his 40 is, but I certainly don't think he's slow. I watched him run a shuttle, and I thought he ran it really well. So, that's just eyeballing it, but it didn't suck, right? And kids in the top 200. So that's definitely what you want there. I will say, I actually think he's probably a better corner than receiver, but FSU likes him a lot at receiver, and the guy wants to play receiver. So he's a receiver, right? If corner's your backup plan, that doesn't really hurt anybody to have a quality backup plan, right? Okay, so we're running through here about 12 minutes. I may just have to I might just counterpoint the spring game, right? We're like, Bud, what'd you think? Well, but I did think that, just we'll see if I can back and forth this thing. 2 things here. Let's talk a little beef, little O-line. You remember back in February, we had discussed how the offensive tackle group in the state of Florida is just hot garbage, and that FSU, if they wanted to get a good offensive tackle this year, would not be able to stay in state and do it. You'd have to go out of the state, because I don't like any of the guys that are in state as tackles. I think the rankings reflect that, and FSU is not dumb, so they saw that. They had to go out of the state to get those guys, and they have made some real headway here. I'm going to butcher this kid's name. A lot of guys just call him Mana. It's Manasseh Etite. He's originally from the Congo. The dude is big as hell and is like a massive tackle prospect. He plays out in California. I believe his recruitment is kind of connected to the Nicholson recruitment, right? So that's one of the ways they have an in there. Brandon Huffman, who's just an absolute killer on the West Coast covering recruiting, dropped a crystal ball for the Knowles for him. I did as well, as did Steve Wildfong. So nobody bats 1,000, but that's not a terrible trio or group to be included with. Alex Atkins has done a nice job establishing that relationship. Obviously, Derek Ray, with his ties to California, has been able to help there quite a bit too. Guy's not, in the boat yet, but I think FSU looks really good for him. And if you saw anything that went on in the portal today, if you saw the quality of player jumping in the portal at the tackle position, which was bad. I mean, these guys are not good players. And they're like, take a Penn State offer, take an Ohio State offer, right? Like, here, pick me. Like, we need anybody with a pulse who happens to be 6'6" and 310, even if they're not any good at the game of football. You know how important it is to get tackles in the high school ranks because the good ones just don't hit the portal, okay? Look at the NFL draft. My colleague at CBS, Ryan Wilson, 15 tackles projected to go in the first round. You know how many of them portaled? 1. And it's because Tennessee narked on their head coach to avoid paying him a buyout. So they thought they were going to get some major sanctions, and he ended up jetting over to Oklahoma. If that doesn't happen, the answer might be a big fat 0 transfer tackles getting drafted. Not the first round, getting drafted, period. So if you don't get your tackles out of high school, you're not guaranteed to be hurting, but you are most likely hurting. So this is a good sign that Florida State is putting in the effort, putting in the work to be in a good position with a guy like Mana. They also had Jason Zanamella on campus, kid from CAI. That's where Lucas Simmons, the stud tackle FSU landed last year, went. I think things are going very well there. He's one of the better center prospects that I've seen. I think he has a lot of athleticism, can snap, can maintain his leverage and his bend once he snaps, moves very well, good body composition guy, intelligent kid. If you talk to him, I mean, if you get those two, I think you're feeling extremely good about where you are, from an offensive line standpoint. So that's pretty good. We'll take some questions from the chat here as I wait on Ingram to come in. Well, assuming he comes in for team stuff. We're gonna have to talk to his internet company. This is ridiculous. I switched to AT&T recently, and I really like it actually, except for when my guy who was doing my drains, he actually cut the cable, so had to work out of the coffee shop for a day there. Shenanigans says UF is going to be chasing some booty players this window because they know they are bound for 4-8 right now. I have a hard time seeing UF go 4-8. I looked at my numbers today. I think really anywhere from 5-7 to 8-4 seems fairly within the non-crazy person range. If you tell me UF's going 8-4, 7-5, 6-6, 5-7, yeah, okay. College football is not as predictable as we think. If you're telling me 9-3, 4-8, then I'm kind of drug test. But we'll see. I don't know. Who's the next major commitment you will get that will shock people? I don't know. Shock people. I don't know that one would really shock people at this point. I mean, a shocking thing would be if you could flip Smith from Ohio State. But again, I don't think that's realistic as long as Brian Hartline, at least not at this point, remains at Ohio State, right? If Hartline got a head job or something, then it's certainly possible that that maybe you could have something cooking there. He did say that he's not going to go back to Miami after some Miami fans were giving him hell on Twitter or Instagram. I thought that was kind of funny. Need the hat. Drop a link to the store. We will do that. How long is Williamson going to be out? I don't know. It's more of a team question, I guess. Who are some realistic safety recruits? What targets can replace Pride for this class? They're realistic. Do you feel like Pride is a loss? Yeah, actually, guys, I think there is some chance that Pride is a loss, right? We just don't know what he's going to be right now because we haven't seen him bounce back yet, assuming he is, from his ACL injury. I relayed to y'all earlier the positive comments that IMG said, right? And I put it on the Knowles 24/7 message board as well. I think it's they like the kid. He got hurt. I think he wanted to get closer to home. It wasn't a work ethic thing. And if he bounces back, then Florida's getting a good one, right? I have major questions about Florida on the field this year. Talked about that today on Cover 3. But I really don't have a lot of questions about Florida's recruiting other than just like, will that recruiting stay together if they are sort of on the bottom range of their projection, that 5-7, 6-6, inevitable hot seat talk going in to 2024? Ask Mike Norvell how that goes, by the way, right? We don't know how that class would have gone last year if they had done really well on the field. So, yeah, those are kind of my main questions there. Anybody coming in to replace Gant? Not as of yet. I think FSU will try to pursue a linebacker in the portal. You kind of have to. Now, whether they can get one, don't know. All right. Like your opinion on Conrad Hussey as far as contributing this season. Hussey is a highly rated safety. I like him a lot. He also is an Aquinas kid, which means he cannot early enroll because of their curriculum. So safety is not a super easy spot to learn. I would project him to get some playing time because I think you have probably 6 games where you are 3-score favorites. So if you're Mike, and Mike is smart, I think he's going to get a lot of those guys working, right? You know? So, yeah, I think he will probably be able to play some. Cool. Oh, Ingram's here. Dope. Nice. I need somebody else to talk for a second. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Not bad. Are you? What are you? Spectrum or Comcast or what are we working with up there?
I think it just the signal sensed that we had moved to Team Talk and connected shortly thereafter. So
Look at that.
yeah, no doubt. No, man, I appreciate you carrying the torch there for the first part of the show. So good seeing you, man. When exactly did you get out there to the to Langford Green on Saturday? I'm just curious.
I got there. It was after the autograph session, but
Okay.
I talked to oh shoot, they're on social media. They're probably watching this now. Shane and his lovely wife. They just like re-up their booster commit by quite a bit. They go to a lot of the events. They had said like just how incredibly packed it was at y'all's deal.
Yeah, it was madness, man. It was awesome. It was incredible to be able to do and have a fan base that hadn't had a fan fest since 2019 or so, and had a couple thousand people roll through, and it was wild. You know, surprisingly, Bud, when you put an 8 or 9-year-old child in front of the Florida State roster, they don't exactly run through the autograph line. I mean, we got like 25 minutes in, and we hadn't gone through the whole course. Like the first kid was still snaking his way through, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a hell of a time. So all is well that ends well. I won't, this isn't the Battles in Fan Fest play-by-play pod. It's the Florida State pod. We'll move to the spring game, but Saturday was awesome. It was great to be able to,
though.
It was great to be able to meet as many listeners, but yeah, please.
Probably like one autograph item per person.
We did do that.
And you can get back in line. Oh, you did?
Oh, and then you can get back in line. Okay. So what I think if we were to just do it again, we had 3 lines, approximately about 20 players. I think what it is just, I can guarantee you 20 autographs. You know, you could go through one of the 3 lines, and we'd try to, make sure that, Jordan Travis and Jared Verse and Trey Benson are all in the same line or whatever else, or Johnny, or, this team is fortunate to have a very talented roster, and there could be 3 great tables put together. Anyway, it was a great time, man. Great to see you, and I appreciate your help on Saturday.
Awesome, man. That was a whole lot of fun and awesome watching this ball game. So, all right, you want to just go position by position? You want to do like top takeaways? What you want to do? New uniforms? I have uniform takes.
Well, bro, this is one of these things, not to be like arrogant, but we talked about this last August. We said it. I mean, I don't want to say we said exactly what was going to happen, because it would be aggressive, but we said, look at the Oklahoma State uniforms, and it's going to look pretty similar to that. And if you look at those uniforms, you got an idea. I mean, we knew they were going to trim down the stuff on the arm. I do think we said that specifically.
Yes.
And that's great, man. I'm glad. I mean, is this fan base ever going to agree that we've gotten the uniforms perfect? Probably never, but that's certainly a massive step in the right direction. And those are pretty, and that's a hell of a lot better than what we've been looking at.
They look a lot better. They just look clean and classic, but also like not too throwbacky, and it was good. And I love everything about them. And I think if you throw the ACC patch on there, it will look a little busier, but not in a bad way. I know some people have put that out on Twitter, like, what if you throw the ACC patch on? Then it kind of looks more balanced, and it does look good. Only thing I don't like, man, this white helmet sucks. I'm sorry. Like, Florida State's uniform is not classic, okay? There's nothing traditional about Florida State's uniform. It has changed like 20 times in 50 years, okay? It's not Bama. It's not Penn State. They have worn a ton of different uniforms over the years, right? There's no jersey that says that's definitely Florida State. If you take, like some of the insignia off and whatnot. The helmet, though, is iconic, right? It's the gold helmet with the garnet face mask. And you got the helmet stickers, man. Like, the white helmet, to me, looks terrible. You could wear the gold helmet with the stormtrooper look and be awesome. Like, to me, hey, we didn't rig that ESPN poll in 2008 to roll out a damn white helmet 15 years later, okay?
A lot of good computer code was written for that poll to be won, just to roll out a white helmet.
Do people know
later.
that story?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope
it's probably statute of limitations is probably gone, right, for hacking?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to tell the story about once every 3 or 4 years, and it's funny every time. I mean, for those that weren't familiar, there wasn't a whole lot going on for Florida State around this period of time, but the fan base was damn determined they were going to win this helmet poll. And I think the winning vote ended up, it was not quite as large as we made it sound last time. I went back and looked. I think, but still, according to the poll, 17.9 million people voted for Florida State's helmet or something like that. I mean, it was a aggressive number.
And they had to reset it, remember?
They did. And it basically became a game of whose programmers could rig the system the fastest. And Florida State just kept winning. And again, in a time when there wasn't a whole lot of winning going on, it was nice to win something. So,
are you team white helmet?
I am team that the helmet is iconic and you need to protect it. If you're gonna maybe do something, once a year or once every other year, I'm not like full blown. The white helmet is in a world in which recruiting is way too consistent of how many bloody pictures you take of a kid during his trip and everything else. I mean, sorry. I mean, you're literally talking about like less time to meet with your actual coaches and stuff like that in facilities because, some of these photo shoots go on for a long damn time. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. But the kids seem to love the white helmet. So I keep it in there very, very, and use it very sparingly. But I would, the gold helmet's always got to be the focus in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that's like
the black helmet. We can ban for forever. I don't ever want to see that again. That's
the black helmet. Yeah,
it's just not it. I'm sorry.
What about the pro combat helmet and
the pro combat? Yes, I mean the most appropriate uniform for the air, for the setting. I was there that day. I was there when I was joined, but by about as many people were at the spring game, and that was a sad scene. But yeah,
do people remember this? I mean that's. I want to stop people when I see them walking around still with the pro combat jersey and be like, what made you decide like the one jersey I'm gonna buy and keep forever from Florida State? I'll drop this in the comment section. Is this pro combat jersey? Like, yeah, all right, pro combat jersey, not great, but yeah, I do like the new looks quite a bit. If they could bring back the shiny gold pants. That would be awesome. I understand there's something with the way the threads work and stuff doesn't work, very well. But yeah. Okay. So do we want to have a long discussion about Jordan Travis, or do we want to just acknowledge that Jordan Travis is really damn good?
He seems to be pretty damn good. Yeah. I mean, okay. Jordan Travis you can feel very comfortable about what you have there. And know why my camera is flickering as much. I've bought like
It's an
new
internet.
Yeah, it may actually be the internet.
You kind of look like you're about to like read me like my fortune or like tell me my future. Crystal ball with this darkness and little backlit we got going on
I see
and the
this.
flickering.
Yeah, we've got a little wave of light as well. Good. This is a great production in general. I'm sorry, y'all.
Quality.
All right. Jordan Travis is great. Trey Benson, put the green jersey on him. You didn't need to learn anything about Trey Benson. Look, you're good at running back. I'm not just trying to like wing it and shoot through stuff here. I love what the flexibility that Toafili gives you. Rodney Hill has continued to develop at a route and a trajectory that I think you can start to talk about the fact that that kid can be like a very good player for you in time. You don't want to build him up too much, but he's moving in the right direction and doing it rapidly.
Do you know
And
who
then
didn't
you've got
miss?
nice little pieces that you former walk-ons that can carry games and will get a decent amount of snaps if you think that you're going to be in the kind of 7 of 12 games in which you just have talent that the other team doesn't, and you can start to lean on your depth a little bit. So I think you're really good at running back.
You know those videos when it's like when you're at war and like they're shooting rockets like way far off in the distance, all of a sudden like one explodes and the camera actually like lights up quite a bit. That is kind of what your camera is doing right now. It's dark, and then like Operation Ingram's Office Enlightenment, I guess, or whatever you want to call this. It's like
I won't bore people by showing the recent lights that I have purchased for this specifically because my camera's doing this, and my opinion was that it was like trying to adjust a light. And then I don't know. I know this for podcasting people. This is horrible, and I'll get away from it. And we'll buy another camera, evidently. So,
do you know who I didn't miss on Saturday? Even though I certainly wish him well, and I think were we the OG supporters of Treshaun Ward?
I believe that you pointed him out in the earliest of stages, certainly. And
when people were freaking out that we didn't sign a running back, and I was like, this walk on they got is probably better than anybody you can get this late in the game, scholarship wise. So just take Treshaun Ward. But I didn't miss Treshaun Ward.
Yeah,
like I'm happy you went out in Kansas State and hopefully got a big NIL bag and like you can replace him pretty well.
I think that's what Rodney Hill's emergence really lets you feel comfortable. I mean, Toe is a really nice player, and he's had ridiculous flash moments during his time here. But your hope is that as Benson kind of really finds himself as a running back, that he's just like consistently that dude that he was for the back half of the season, absent the bowl game. And if that's the case, great. But if you're going to have a guy who's, has a little bit of a, sometimes it's a 7, sometimes it's a 9.5, then having somebody like Rodney Hill there becomes really, really important. And that's great with what you've developed with depth, and the two former walk-ons are really nice, respectable players in their own route.
So, sorry, a friend of mine was asking me, have I seen this receiver? And I was like, yes, I have seen him. And I don't have an opinion because the 7-on coach forgot to bring a quarterback for his team.
So yeah,
I have no opinion. Like I don't like making up opinions of guys I haven't seen play. Right? So I'm like, I have no opinion, dude. Sorry. Anyway, look, I agree with you on that. I think that Hill is potentially a good player for you, and Toafili as well. Those are nice second and third backs to have, and I think Hill has some potential upside as well, right? CJ, sure, like that's a nice back to have. Are they going to put him on scholarship? I don't know, or maybe. Is he already on scholarship?
I thought he was. I could be wrong about that. I'd have to check.
I mean, I know they're going to be pretty tight with the, with the scholarship count coming up. We'll get to the Brendan Gant in a moment. I don't know if CJ Campbell is on scholarship. It's cool to do it if you got the room. Sometimes you don't quite have the room, but I thought the running back position looked quite nice. Everybody just seemed to know where to go. Like you didn't have a lot of guys who were running the wrong way. That was my number one takeaway of the day, was that this team looks well coached. Okay. Big plays, for the most part, were earned, not just surrendered by the defense blowing coverages. Sacks were generally, I know it's touch on the quarterback, but it wasn't just laying because the linemen don't know who to block, right? You didn't have guys Winston Wright olayed to a block one time on a receiver screen, but for the most part, guys were just in the right spots, and it just looked like a fairly clean operation and not like a cluster. So it just tells me this team has a pretty high floor. I said this on Cover 3 today because they were like, okay, what's the vibe? And it's like, the vibe is just consistent competence across the board at almost every position for me, right? I'm not sure how many guys you have that are first round picks or top 50 picks, right? And if you want to win a natty, go look at how many guys eventually get drafted off those starting lineups, okay? There's a noticeable difference between that and what you have. But if you look at where they were 2-3 years ago, good Lord, this is a tremendous, tremendous turnaround. It's something I think Noel Nation needs to be really excited about, man, because they are just competent at really every spot and deep at almost every spot. It's pretty damn impressive.
I would not advise those that are wanting to get into podcasting to care too much about what people say about their podcast or worry about it. I'd also candidly tell you that podcasting is a real tough landscape to jump into in 2022 or 2023. So be careful with that in general. But, the one feedback that we've gotten over the years is that we're negative and stuff like that. That's fine. That's fine. No big deal. Folks, we just went through the darkest, most negative period of time that this program's ever gone through. Okay. We try to give you an accurate idea as to what's going on with the program. Unfortunately, many a negative opinion, as it could have been labeled, ended up being accurate. But what you're seeing and what you've seen transpired, really since Mike's gotten here, but particularly in the last 18 months, is one of the more dramatic turnarounds that I think you've seen. And there's a whole lot of optimistic talk to be had at where the roster depth is and almost entirely across the board. Some of the people that you've brought in the behind the scenes, I mean, I can tell you that, some of the behind the scenes guys are equally as important as some of the more position coach guys that are talked about and known to the greater fan base. And that's not a knock on the position coach. It's just a reflection of all the different responsibilities that are out there, and what it takes in 2023 to be an elite high operating program. And I don't know that Florida State's ever going to have a collared shirt brigade of, 80 or something crazy like that. But they've staffed up and they've staffed up aggressively. And you've just seen the program be a much greater reflection of the historical success that it's had and that of what people expect it to be. And it's happened in the damn blink of an eye. So relatively speaking, with how quickly it's occurred. So just enjoy this and enjoy the fact that, I do think you've got a top 50 pick, absent injury at defensive end.
Yes.
You've got, a guy at running back that if he has a special time, running back's a hell of a place to get drafted high, but that's a potential top route 2 round kid. And Jordan isn't going to necessarily translate to the elite edges of the NFL draft, most likely. But for college, Jordan has a chance to be as impactful and dominant of a player as there is in the country. So you're not there from a standpoint of Georgia or Bama. That's just acknowledged. But you've damn near caught everybody else in the country in 18 to 20 months. And that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you can have an army of polo shirts too, but you kind of have to know what to do with them, right? You can understand this Nick Saban plan and how you attack everybody with having 1 million people work in your building, but knowing what the plan is, knowing how to execute the plan, a little different, right? Ask folks in Gainesville. Right? Is that super well managed over there? Is everybody pulling in the same direction with all the polo shirts? Didn't look like it last year, right? From stuff we had heard. So totally agree. Having competent leadership certainly matters at the top. FSU lost 6 games in 5 of the last 6 years. So I mean, I'll say this. If you had people telling you everything was great every year of those years, why do you believe now when they tell you things are going to be great again? There were years we told you this team sucked, and it did. Now I think this team's really damn good. I mean, I've got them squarely inside the top 10, kind of in that 4 to 8 range, and I think they're pretty good, man. Like the level of competence that they have across the board is really encouraging.
Yeah. Wide receiver, obviously the play of the day is Kentron Portier.
88,
somehow on the show sheet there, we had quarterback, running back, 7-minute tangent on scale of the program and what it has done recently. So a very well-constructed show sheet. Wide receiver, Kentron has an absurdly impressive play and has continued to emerge throughout the spring. I do think there's some legitimacy to, like Johnny has these unique strengths that he brings to the equation, and Kentron is a great player in his own right, but somewhat similar in that. So you do want a Winston Wright, you want something else to emerge from that. I will say that I'm well aware that Deuce Spann is on the team, and I've watched him practice many times, but I almost always do a double take when I look at that kid real quickly, only because that's what it looks like. Okay. That's what it looks like when it all comes together. And still some work to be done there, but that is, you said it at the time. That's a dude that's like, if it works at wide receiver, that's a top 50 pick, undoubtedly. I mean, that's a dude that has the ability, if it works, if it clicks, sky's the limit. And interesting to see how much more he gets developed over time.
I was really encouraged about with KP was 2024. Now, if you ask me, Bud, who's going to step into Johnny Wilson's role? That guy, right? Like the skills he showed, right? The big-bodied body control stuff that you want, that's what he showed. I don't know that he showed. I think he definitely showed that he was your second best receiver. I don't know if he showed that like he's your number 2 receiver in the specific role that Pokey filled last year, right? Which was your, downfield, deep threat. The guy like Jordan is a guy that likes to layer the ball over the top, especially between the hash marks. Ask Miami about that, right? That beautiful ball he put there in stride. I think he had a nice one too against the Gators and a couple more. To me, that's not necessarily 88's strength, although I'm willing to continue to watch him, certainly. I don't want that to come off as a knock. I probably should have done a better job last episode when I was like, I don't know if he can be your number 2, right? He looks like your second best receiver right now, depending on what happens with Williamson. What I mean is, like, who can fill the specific role that Pokey left, right? Is that Winston Wright? I don't know. Maybe. I thought it was going to be Williamson. Okay. But obviously some things to work back from there. So would you go get a receiver? I would still consider going to get a receiver, right? Like I when I kind of run the simulations in my head or in my computer, like, how does this not go right?
Yeah, it's somebody getting dinged at wide receiver or defensive end. I mean, that's what it is.
Exactly right. O-line. I mean, I can't say anything like that would be too nice here. It's amazing.
Q segment that we did 6 minutes ago. Like, how the hell does this happen this quickly? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost all emblematic of this position as well.
You ran 2 lines and they were functional, knew what they were doing, and they knew what they were doing and they could execute it physically. And you had a couple more guys you could probably rotate in there too, right? I mean, that was tremendous. They got beat sometimes. Sure. I think FSU D line's pretty good, by the way. Verse is going to be a high NFL draft pick. I think D-Jax is very nice. Pat Payton can play. Tafasi's got some real nice strength to him there. And yet, like, they held their own. They didn't get crushed. I was very impressed by the quality of depth there you have with the offensive line. Okay. If you guys want to see what poor depth looks like, you could just watch any FSU season between 2014 2014. You really can't. 2013 had bad depth. They never had any injuries up front. It was tremendous. Like 2014 to 2022, basically, would be good seasons to watch if you want to see some real struggles with depth. Or go watch South Carolina spring game, right? I mean, they lost 3 starters before the season. Second series, their best lineman, their starting left tackle, blows his knee. Looks like he's going to be done for the year. The kid they put in there, he can't play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like it was just non-competitive from the start.
You know what that looks like.
FSU's 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th offensive linemen. Competitive reps. They look like they belong. Atkins and those dudes got them ready. Are they all physical freaks? No, but they're all like big enough. They put the time in the weight room and they're reasonably competent. You know, I mean, like Armella and Sapp aren't starting on this team. They're going to play a couple hundred snaps because, I mean, like I said, you're favored by three scores in like half your game, so they're going to get a lot of playing time, man. But I mean, shoot, Bless Harris looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Bless Harris is going to start unless I'm missing something here at one of the tackle spots. He almost has to. And then it's like Robert Scott, who is an okay player when he's healthy, versus Byers, versus maybe Washington, who is very experienced for your other tackle spot. Or maybe Armella makes some huge jump over the summer. The fact that we're actually talking about options, it's not like it's got to be this guy, right? It's any number of these guys could emerge and do well. This is a weird conversation to have. Like, I need to kind of check my temperature. This is not normal for us.
How do we get here? No, man, no, it's incredible. I mean, it's when you look at it, I agree with you. And Harris from the first practice I was able to see this spring, Harris, I think I talked to you the next day. I'm like, oh, that's it's a different looking dude than even what we saw last year. He's continued to progress. I don't ever want to, put too much on one kid, but he's been really impressive. So offensive line, you get Meach back. That's probably one of your interior starters as well. Not definitely, but probably.
Think about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Probably on a guy who was second team all ACC.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a better point to demonstrate the depth on this team, dude, probably.
Yeah.
And I think probably is the right word.
It's remarkable. I mean, and now you're starting to get the just the level of athlete and physical build that, you've still had some lingering issues of running in predictive downs. And as we've talked about, that's to an extent can be applied to everybody. But you're starting to just get dudes and guys that are different level when it comes to moving people. So, hey, nothing but bright things on the other side, that side of the ball. And you're right. That does still feel a little weird to say.
That is fair. All right. Tight end. Morlock, I thought he had 2 nice catches that were disallowed, but he showed good body control. Didn't see a whole lot out of Jaheim Bell, but I think his track record overall in his career, we know what he can do.
Yep. Morlock had one drop that we kind of talked about, adjusted in the moment. I think that was the first time the ball went his way, adjusted, made some nice plays. Again, this is not the Battles In podcast, but I'll just say for Jaheim Bell, a guy who's been here like for all of 5 minutes, was one of the dudes who walked down to the end of Langford Green and started signing autographs for people who weren't otherwise going to be able to get through the line.
After the time was up, right?
Yeah, after the time started to run out, and we could just tell this was not going to work. The model, what we thought was going to work, wasn't going to work. So we had to scramble. Big shout out, Jared Verse, a guy who has a good chance of being a first-round pick, probably sat in the sun for a long time and signed 1,000 autographs. I mean, incredible of that kid, and I was just impressed. Bell was one of the dudes who did it as well, and for a guy who's hadn't been here as long, a lot of guys had some nice moments, and a big thank you to him for a lot of those kids for flexibility and a want to generally do good things for the younger people in this fan base. So
and it was hot during the day, man. Like I know it
cooking.
rained at night, but it was definitely hot.
Yeah. I'm just excited, man. And Biscuit is a hell of a player. I mean, you got 3 common theme here. You got 3 really, really nice pieces to work with. And, 3 guys that two guys that you still have a ton of development to put into, and Bell's going to continue to get better, but really more the thing with him is just trying to figure out exactly how you're going to deploy him and how you're going to use him in this offense. But you know what you have there, and damn if the tight end room hadn't turned around in a real quick manner.
Norvell seems like a pretty consistent guy. What's the difference between this cycle compared to last 2 years? Is simply just getting wins. Yeah, I think it's actually having something on field to sell, man. To be honest, guys, like this previous recruiting class, I know was like not up to FSU standard in terms of getting the. You definitely got some super elite guys, and I think you did a nice job of scouting, to find fit for your program amongst some of the lesser rated guys. But you're not going to land a class with like 24 and 5 stars in it coming off back-to-back losing seasons, okay? And most of these kids have their mind made up well before you pants Miami and well before you beat Florida. So now you actually have a good year under your belt to recruit with for an entire cycle, right? And so Redbird, I think it actually is the on-field product. Like they need to show that proof of concept. It was a show me year, and they showed. Let's see here. What else do we have? I thought Verse looked nice when he was in there. I thought Peyton showed some nice burst when he was in there. Gilbert Edmond was a little bit of like a mixed bag to me, but did show some good things, from what I recall. I think it's encouraging that he's a multi-year guy, right? That certainly adds value to him for the roster. Like, did you miss DMAC? Not really. Could he still help the team? Like on the field, I would say probably, but like off the field, I don't know. Like if he wants back in, I think it would have to be up to the team, and I'm not really sure what their answer would be. So,
be an interesting situation. I don't know that he does. I do know that a theme that you and I and many others talked about was that you're going to see kids get in the portal, and you're going to see kids that might not have happen what they think happened immediately in the portal and potentially want to come back. And maybe one of those situations, it may not be. We'll just see.
100%. I thought Bishop Thomas getting there at edge was interesting. Like that's that guy moves pretty well for his size, which is something we saw in his high school tape when he was playing some tight end as well. That's your second year or third year guy now out of Orlando. Briggs as some edge stuff will be interesting as well. A guy who had a strong bowl game, and you want to see him continue to add on to that. People are saying we disrespected Preston Daniel.
I think that's got to be tongue in cheek, but
it's got to be tongue in cheek. Like, yes, he's a quality walk on, or did they scholarship him now? I'm going to call him a walk on regardless. Like we don't lead the show when Preston Daniel commits. We lead the show when Landon Thomas commits. Right? There's a reason for that. So, yes, he did a nice job. He did catch a lot of balls there from Rodemaker, and I think Glenn threw him a couple as well. So that was cool to see. Deloach made a bunch of plays. Tafasi.
Yeah.
That was good. Like some rawness with some flash, right? Encouraging.
That's it. I think you just got to get a little bit more level of consistency, but you knew that's a diamond that you had to polish, and that's what you want to see out of somebody like that. This raw, you want to see those flashes, and you want to see, where you can kind of try to take his trajectory. So tons of talent at the defensive tackle position, and he's certainly part of it.
So, linebacker wise, we should probably thank some other sponsors. I did thank.
I meant to ask you. I thought I heard some of that when I was trying to get on, but I wasn't sure if we went through the full sponsor rundown or what.
Well, I am currently from the legendary Homeload Studios in my house. I've used Shannon and Chad twice. 844 FSU loan, 844 FSU loan. Checked again. It is still 844. I don't know if you got inside joke here, but one night we announced the wrong number. I was like, wait, how many loans have we sold to these guys? And now we're all of a sudden we're forgetting the number.
Yeah, we sent them to one of the few remaining naughty phone numbers that exist out there. I didn't even know such a thing existed. But yeah.
People are going to call that from a work phone to get in trouble, man.
Yeah.
844 Evish Loan is the number to call. Best rates in the business, great customer service, knowledge of the industry, passionate Knowles fans, and it's Knowles helping Knowles. You want to support your fellow Knowles, and you want to support those guys. And I know they are really excited about all the recent recruiting stuff. I mean, I know that Chad gets his work done because like I see the numbers come in, but I'm like Chad is following recruiting as diehard as anybody I know.
He's on it, man. I don't even have to follow
don't
recruiting because I just know that I'm going to see the play-by-play in the Nolecast group chat, and I can say, oh, look at that.
Chad's like, how would you interpret this eyeball emoji compared to this one? And this guy, like, you know, the what show is that? Is it Always Sunny, where the guy's like
Charlie,
like,
yeah,
or
one of the
Charlie's put all the threads together. It's like, look, this
TV
guy followed this guy,
characters.
and he used to be an analyst at this school, and like he's putting in. Chad's into it. If that's you, definitely want to give Chad a call. They do a tremendous job. Speaking of tremendous job, Kellen DeLoach looked good.
Yeah.
That was encouraging, man. If he's going to get drafted, I want to see more stuff like that. Just breaking on the ball, instincts, looked a little more explosive. I'm into it.
Yeah, Kalen, one of the more impressive, if not the most impressive player out there, really across the board. Had a nice strip, had the interception that, you know, maybe that's a pick six, maybe it's not. The other one, I think, puts points on the board. And that's, yeah, like you said, the Kalen DeLoach top level is a super athlete at that position who's creating, you know, havoc plays. And that's what we saw. And you got Tatum Bethune, who sounds like he's correcting a health issue that he's had for a little while, and no reason not to expect him back at full speed. And, you know, those are your guys that you're going to run with. Omar Graham continues to develop at a nice little pace. I think you have to be reasonably happy with his development. And then DJ Lundy, you know, I mean, at my bachelor party last year, I was like, you know, the work they've done on DJ Lundy's hips is what they always wanted to do with Jeff Luck and Cutton. If you guys have been familiar with players from the program who never really got on the field from 10 or 12 years ago.
I saw Jeff about 2 months ago.
Awesome. I mean, just for reference, Jeff Luck, probably the most physically developed high school recruit I've seen. I mean,
Two best linebacker highlight tapes ever. Reuben Foster, Jeff Luck.
Well, Reuben Foster. That kid out of
Reuben Foster also like 22 years old, wrecking kids in South Georgia.
Troop County. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Jeff Luck, a man, an absolute man, but they had a little bit of trouble getting his flexibility up to a level where it needed to be. And it's been impressive what Lundy's done. We'll see if he continues to progress, but he has reshaped his body and has made himself a much more of a contender to take everyday snap or every down snaps, and, you know, not just be situationally where you know, a short yardage linebacker or something like that. So
should we watch Jeff Luck highlights right now?
Let's do it for sure.
I think we probably, like, if you guys are Knowles and you have not seen this, which means maybe you weren't watching recruiting 13, 14 years ago, 15 years ago. God, we were getting old, dude.
2000. Yeah.
Chrome tab. Here we go. Let's go ahead and he just absolutely nukes people here.
I saw a GIF recently tied to Luck's recruitment, and it's just a reminder of how pixelated film and stuff like this was even 10 years ago. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just picks him up suplex. I mean, this is what we're dealing with right now.
And, he's Jeff Luck. He who knows how to double leg takedown. Ooh. Oh God, violent.
All right, so if you're listening on podcast, this is just me and Ingram giggling is probably not the best podcasting, but I assure you,
it's not great, but it's worth finding. I mean, you know,
almost everybody tackles is going airborne.
Oh, we got game tape or game audio.
Okay, sorry about that.
He hunted that kid down. And
I like how they're pointing him out. Like, I don't really need to point it like the play ends with this guy like picking up somebody and slamming him every time. He's huge. Oh, he's playing. Okay, we're blitzing off the edge here.
Yeah,
that was just a simple 12-yard loss on a sack. That was pretty solid.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, he's actually
one or two more of these here.
Yeah,
and then we'll go. But yeah, this is. I mean, this is
a 9-minute highlight.
9-minute highlight. I will tell Charleston Knoll. Says pull up Darnell Dockets. We can't just randomly pull up because nothing else. Because I'm like, this is my I'm such a nerd at this. I will do this for 32 minutes, y'all,
Yeah.
and you will hate it. And I'm sorry, I'll be selfish with it. But
This is Remember Some Dudes.
the
basically.
Darnell Dockett highlight, some like a local TV channel put a mic, mic'd him up for a game or two, and it's just Darnell playing in Baltimore, Maryland, running around and killing people and talking about it. And it's one of the more that and for me, the three best highlight tapes that I can remember: Darnell Dockett, who's the kid, the Tennessee kid, John Henderson or whatever. I mean, his highlight film is
Him or
like,
Hainsworth. Which
or
one?
Hainsworth. That's what I'm talking about.
Hainsworth was from South Carolina, but he played at
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Hainsworth film is like just violent, like stuff that you used to see. Yeah, very, very violent. And then I always mention this because Sebastian Janikowski, like the first time I saw it, I didn't know that CGI didn't exist. But I did wonder if somebody did something with like the highlight tape. It didn't look real. A high school kid was like hitting kickoffs, not hitting them through the uprights, hitting them over the uprights. I mean, like I didn't think the human leg had the capacity to strike a ball like that. So
also, two great comments here. Number one, Shenanigans says, this is like watching we still have the Jeff Luck highlights in the background. He goes, this is like watching somebody play Madden with the penalties off. Like, yeah, that's a good description. He also like carried a vertical like 40 yards downfield and picked it off here like about a minute ago as we're rolling this. Totally agree on all those. Not as violent, but as, oh my God, like there's no discussion as to who's the top player this year. We're just going to have to talk about number two. Was watching Jadeveon Clowney like return several kickoffs for touchdowns to start his highlight tape, and then like get in the wildcat and just run for touchdowns.
Yeah, you're right. That was
Dockett's is crazy because it's actually like TV quality film, and it's at field level, and nobody from that era had anything like that. Noel Devine was probably the first one that really went viral, like viral.
I remember that. Yep.
Burt Reed had a good highlight, actually, I thought. Like, I mean, not on that level, but just from recent guys. LaMarcus Joyner was pretty fun. We watched a lot of LaMarcus Joyner back in the day.
Yeah, Ernie Sims at NFC. This would be a great segment.
Jarman Fortson actually had a really good high school highlight. Now, if he could ever keep his head on straight for like 2 minutes, that would be...
Jarman Fortson had a high school state championship game that people in the state of Georgia are still talking about. I mean, as a defensive end, I think he recorded 6 or 7 snaps or something like that. I mean, it was just Jarman Fortson was, oh man.
Do you remember when he crushed the Wake Forest guy?
Yes, I do.
Chat. Yes, I don't like. All right, well, let's watch this for the chat real fast. I'm sorry, because I actually have this pulled up, and this is tremendous. So Jarman here, and I think he gets called for a penalty on this. FSU's winning at Wake. This is the game they had to play EJ, but not the one where they played Clint Trickett and lost it, right? And then they were like, "Oh, we could have played EJ." I'm like, well, if you could have played EJ and you played Clint and lost, it's probably not the best strategy, but I understand it kind of. All right, here we go. This is Jarman Fortson. It's kind of grainy.
This was an interesting period of time to where Florida State would go to Wake Forest and either lose a game that was very unfortunate, play a game that was maybe more than likely rigged, and then this game where they handled Wake with no problem.
Are you talking about the one where the ref needed some retraining
and that's
or
like
re-education?
The third most scandalous thing that happened in that game with the referees? Yes, that is.
He reaches his hand up and tips the ball?
I know I've got to be careful about saying, rigged, but dude, that game is
influenced.
Of all the sporting games I've watched, something was wrong with that game. Anyway, we'll go back to the subject matter. We've been so well defined and staying on course tonight. We really impressive.
All right, so do you guys want to watch Jarman Fortson like kill somebody on national TV? Because I do. Let's do this thing. Here we go. All right, here we go. They are in a 3-by-1 set. EJ passes over the middle, and he throws a pick, and Jarman Fortson.
That's right.
Night termite.
I forgot about that.
Go. Yeah. Can we play the audio for this? Or are we gonna get?
It's risky. Yeah.
All right. So let's watch one more time. Just comes out of nowhere. It is the ball carrier. So he hits him enough to where Jarman falls down to it. Jarman kind of comes up like he plays it off like he's trying to pimp it, but also like you can tell like he's a little wobbly.
Oh yeah, I mean, he hit the guy so hard. What did was it? I forgot who described the Greg Reed hit at UNC as he potato headed the guy because it's like his helmet, everything, and that's
Dexter Reed.
Dexter Reed. Yeah, I mean that's what this kid's helmet pops off. It's you can tell there was a pretty significant transfer of energy that occurred when these two collided.
Did he get up? I don't. Okay, so this had to be like 08 or 09 because Bowden's still there. They're giving him hugs. Bo Relaford comes over. Remember Bo?
The Bo.
Remember Coley
when
Sun Sports caught him on that broadcast?
Yeah.
The ball, like they know the look they're going to get, and the coaches are mic'd up in the thing, and they know it's going to be a wheel route to Bo, and Coley's saying like, "Catch the ball, down, catch the ball, Bo, catch the ball, Bo," and you could tell he probably dropped it in practice quite a bit. Oh, here's the other angle. This is good. From out of nowhere, erased.
For our podcast listeners, I will tweet this out tomorrow morning around 9 or so. You can check the yikes.
He does the little what's it called when they when you get a concussion and your hands go like that? Like the chat will probably know. He does that before he hits the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a great sign for Charles or Quarles.
Kid did get up, walk off, and appears to be fine. Well, he's from Tucker, Georgia. Yeah, he's tough. He's a tough dude.
I knew you'd get some kind of Georgia thing.
Tucker, Georgia. He's all right. He's all right.
Oh man, fantastic. Jamie German. Yeah, Jamie German went to my high school. Yes, his stuff is awesome. Ray Lewis. Yeah. All right, let's get back to the game at hand because not everybody probably came here for us remembering some dudes, but we should do some remember some dudes segments over the summer instead of some of these episodes. We're like, how important is this 3-star?
Right.
Let's debate.
Yeah, let's debate.
All right.
Let's debate. All right, we got
less
ends,
3-stars now. Like
linebackers, a lot less 3-stars. Yes, a lot less.
Both Lundy and Graham covered wheel routes on the day, step for step. Now, is that because they've been practicing against these guys for 3 weeks and they generally know what this looks like? Possibly, but you can know what's coming and still have to be able to run with it. So I thought it was encouraging.
Agree on both counts. And I think of all the positions that spring that you can kind of cheat at, linebacker is the one that might be the easiest. You get a feel for what's going on. And I'm not taking away anything. Kalen Deloach had a great day. I'm excited what Tatum Bethune looks like next year as a healthy player. Not trying to slight anybody, but I do know that just from my own personal experience, you can get a good feel as to what's going to happen in front of you. All right, so moving to the DBs. Anybody else at linebacker?
Brennan Gant. Let's talk about he transferred.
Gant enters the portal.
I don't blame the guy, man. Like, to me, this is a guy that I think they probably wanted to run off at one point. I mean, change the locker, change the number, change the position. Guy changed his attitude. Guy took to it and didn't leave, and was I don't know, not good, like a useful player as a reserve for them at times last year. You know, like I hope Brennan Gant goes and is able to play somewhere and start. You know, like I know I tweeted from my account like a lower P5 or like a good G5 is somewhere I think he could have a starter role in.
Kid immediately tweets out a series of offers. Happy that for him, like you said.
Who'd he get?
USF, UCF, Tennessee State, Colorado, somebody else. Colorado either has uniforms that make you look diminutive or they've like bust in the local private school to practice against or something.
Did you see what they tweeted at me?
I saw it.
Well, not at me, but right after I tweeted that.
I saw the tiny tweets. Dude, those videos, whatever. We've gotten off topic enough tonight, but I mean, if Gant's able to go to a place like Colorado that, needs some players and play a good amount. And dude, you talk about a a great place to go spend 6 months and play ball. I mean, that's a fun one-off that you might not otherwise get an experience like that. So
I could
best
see
of
him at
luck to the kid.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati would be a good fit.
They lost a
Absolutely.
lot because, like, when Luke Fickell took the Wisconsin job, they took a lot of guys, and they actually need a nickel linebacker.
Hmm.
So they actually had a pretty good one jump in the portal today. So be interested to see if any ACC teams or SEC teams might take a look at the kid that they just lost. But I could see Cincinnati there for Brendan Gant potentially. UCF's Big 12. That's kind of the range, right? Like if you're hunting a bowl game or a little better, yeah, that makes sense. And I guys want to be able to play. I mean that's got to matter to you, and I'm sure it does to him as well. How about Quindarius Jones, man? Looking good.
Yeah.
I think 24/7 Sports was the highest rating on him of the major services. So we feel pretty good about that. I like to see Fentrell lined up over Hakeem and let him know. Just what it's going to take to play at that level. Hakeem did have that nice catch. Oh, I should mention Vendravius. I think the strength conditioning staff deserves some credit here. Okay.
I like your points here. Yeah, please.
Like, so he was not a guy who ran well. Like, we got him on the laser a couple times, and he was not fast. Okay. And on his high school tape, he's not playing very great competition. I know it's in the state of Florida, but like there's a lot of games there where like the teams he's playing are not great. So he's outrunning them. But like when you looked at Dre, top end speed was not an attribute that he showcased very much as a recruit. And he looks a lot faster now. And there are some things you can do speed training wise, and some of these colleges do a nice job at it to where you get faster. I was encouraged that they were using him on some of this jet sweep stuff, and they were trying to get him the ball short too. And it kind of tells me like, oh, they think he's got real ability, like after the catch ability, top speed ability, and that's encouraging, man. Maybe he can fill that pokey role, by the way, later on in the year as he kind of gets a little, gets a little more seasoning to him. But that was encouraging. I took note of that. Like they tried to, how many times they run jet with him? Like 3. He fumbled the first one, but they're trying to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah. So big shout out to Congruity. Had another listener reach out to us today about getting in touch with our good friend Matt Lewis. For those of you that did come by the tailgate, you would have seen many Tarpon Cellars bottles out there. Always appreciate the support that we've received from our friends. tarponcellars.com. Nolecast is the coupon code for 20% off there. And then, Bud, is there any other way to end a fantastic day in Tallahassee other than to go to Madison Social? And it was great being out there. And again, we've gotten off topic all the time, but I'll just say I'm fortunate we were on the right side of Madison Social, on the Madison Street side, because, dude, when that storm blew in, and you were on the other patio, you weren't on the other patio very long. That was that came in quick, and it cleared out an awful lot of people.
So the chat's saying that I'm not very good at picking up on sarcasm because I thought the Preston Daniel comment was serious. You know something that FSU students are not very good at picking up on? Their weather app, because their outfit choices for the weather that was coming was like, okay, that is a choice. I was like, okay, all right.
That is a choice. Yes,
No
choices
doubt.
were made. Choices were made.
That was a tremendous time.
Definitely the first bad decision ever made in Tallahassee.
No. Yeah, I mean that was a blast there. Man, I feel good about this team.
Yeah.
Like kicking was not horrendous.
Not horrendous. I had a player say that they think we've got a kicker. So
did they say who it is?
I think it's the new guy.
Okay.
In fact, I know it's the new guy. Yeah. So
all right.
yeah, I was like, really? Like, yeah, man, we're kicking. I'm like, all right, well, it's good to hear. It's good to hear.
There you go. punt return wasn't live, so you really couldn't see much of that. That continues to be, I don't want to use the word concern because I don't want to get labeled as negative, just a continuing question that will need to be answered in the fall. Punt returning question, I think. And just perspective, right? Like you watch these other spring games. I mean, FSU was like maybe the best spring game I watched other than Georgia. As far as the crispness of it, the level of athlete, everybody seemed to look like they know what they're doing. I mean, I guess Texas looked pretty good too, but they're right up there. You know, this is the good plays were earned, not given. I think that's really what you want when your team is playing your team.
Anything else in the game particularly stand out to you? Or Saturday in general?
I felt good for Washington. You know, just for a guy that's battled a lot of injuries and is finally having like a healthy spring, healthy offseason. That's encouraging. Just some of these guys that have been there 4 or 5 years and just battled through a lot of nonsense. A lot of times not their fault. That felt good to see. I mean, they're going to have some guys who are solid players or at least decent players have to hit the portal just for scholarship numbers. Some lucky team's going to benefit from your depth.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
I was talking to a coach yesterday, actually. I said this on Cover 3 today. And he was like, with my guys, I don't have anybody who can start at a P5. He's at a G5 school. He's like, but I got some of these P5s coming after my guys to come be depth. And for me, it's like, damn, man, are you really going to leave a starting role in the G5 to go be like a backup at a P5? And I'm like, honestly, like you're able to keep most of your guys, right? He's like, yeah, actually we are, because that argument plays pretty well. Like you're not leaving your teammates and your starting role to go not play. I think that kind of illustrates one of the challenges that the Noles have with this linebacker spot. They would love to have another linebacker on this team who's experienced. But like Deloach and Bethune don't suck. So it's very difficult for you to be like, hey, the stats say this was a top 20-ish defense last year, right? Both linebackers are coming back. Come, you can start for us. That's a hard sell.
Yep.
So you go get like a lot of people are like, hey, go get a good G5 kid. If he's a good G5 kid and he's starting and he's going to come be your backup, that's a harder sell than just like video game style recruiting, right?
Well said, sir. Yeah. I mean, it's the case. Absolutely. All
right. I think that's all I got, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I will say for a position that in theory the transfer portal should provide a lot for, there hasn't been a whole lot of super high quality linebackers, and that may change with this window. So something to watch and something to evaluate. But I certainly know that Florida State likes what they have in linebacker 1, linebacker 2, or linebacker. Really, you got two kids there that are your clear starters, and then keep developing Graham and some of those other guys. But we'll see what the portal offers.
8.5 million votes were cast after the poll was reset in the ESPN College Football Helmet Clash in
then maybe
August of 2008.
Did maybe they win the semifinal round? I feel like at some point
I remember
the number was
the amount of cheating needed to beat Michigan. I felt like
Michigan was where it got.
Yeah.
I think Bama was one of the teams as well. I remember.
Yeah, Bama was in there.
Remember,
you beat Bama in the title game.
Keep stepping up your game. So
yeah, it's like, okay, so the entire country of Mexico has now voted for this helmet. Yeah. All right, we're getting kind of punch drunk here. All right, you got anything else?
I think that's it, man. I appreciate you carrying the torch at the beginning there. Thoroughly enjoyed it as always. Do give us a like on this if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe. All the things you can do. Podcast platform support has been immense since day one, and we thank any of you guys who give us a review or anything else that helps new people continue to find the Nolecast and the Nolecast continue to grow. So this has been fun tonight. I know we've gone a little long, but hey, it's a long time till you get football again, and if you can't have a laugh or two, it's going to be a long damn off season. So loved it as always, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, buddy.